Welcome and thank you for joining us. My name is Kat Henaway. I am CEO of Politics in Colour, a small Indigenous business that amplifies people of colour, First Nations and people of colour in politics. I'd like to start this session by acknowledging that I am dialing in from the beautiful lands of the Gadigal people here on Eora Nation in Sydney, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and also acknowledge the wonderful elders past, present and emerging of the traditional lands where you are dialing in from this evening. If you'd like to share which country you're on, you can pop that in the chat and let us know where you're coming in from. This evening's session is an online information session for Pathways to Politics, specifically for First Nations women. We have some First Nations women who will be speaking about their experience this evening. They've gone through the Pathways program. They've been involved in, some of them have been involved in politics. Some of them are about to get involved in politics. And this session this evening is really about you getting an understanding of what the value of the Pathways to Politics program is. And you'll learn a little bit more about it from the people who run the program. And you'll also learn the process, how to apply for Pathways to Politics. And you'll meet some of the people who run the program. And you'll also get to ask questions towards the end in a 10-minute Q&A that we will open up to the audience at the end of this session. Before I hand over to Dr. Meredith Martin, who runs the program from Melbourne University, I just want to mention that this session this evening is being recorded. It will be available and emailed to all attendees after this session. And you can freely share that recording to any potential friends and family members who are First Nations women who also might be interested in this program, in applying for this program. Just a little bit about me before I hand over to Dr. Meredith Martin. I am a Torres Strait Islander. I was born and raised in Torres Strait communities in Far North Queensland, in Cairns. My aka and ate, my grandparents, raised me, and they are from Murray Island or Mare and Moa Island, or traditional name Moore. So my grandparents are from the east and the west of the Torres Strait. I had the great privilege of being raised in very large Indigenous communities. My mum married a South Sea Aboriginal man, and so my brothers and sisters are also Torres Strait, Aboriginal and South Sea Islander. So we have all the black races of Australia in our family. I am a business advisor, I'm an entrepreneur, and I live in Sydney. So I work with a lot of Indigenous businesses. And one of the little businesses I set up was called Politics in Colour, because I was really passionate about helping Indigenous people and people of colour to learn how to get elected. We've been doing this work in Politics in Colour for the last 3 years. And for 3 years, coming into 4 years now, we've had this wonderful relationship with Pathways to Politics, where we've been running workshops for them to create a pipeline of diverse candidates for their program. It's been wonderful, really, really fantastic experience for both of our organisations. We've had a lot of fun over the years. On that note, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Meredith Martin, who runs the entire national program. Dr. Martin will tell you a little bit more about Pathways to Politics for Women.
Thanks so much, Kat, and welcome everyone. And can I say, Kat, a huge thank you to you for tonight, but also for our amazing partnership. Your support has been really extraordinary. As Kat said, I'm the national convener of Pathways, and I also run the Victorian program. I'm the Victorian program director. And we've been going for about 8 years now. We're into our 9th year, so it's very, very exciting. We've been here for a while. I want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the unceded lands from which I'm joining you tonight, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people, and pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. The Pathways Network, as Kat's indicated, extends right across Australia with programs based in universities in all states and territories from this year. And I'm joined by colleagues from the ACT, from Queensland, New South Wales, South Australia and WA. And collectively, we recognise the unique place held by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the original owners and custodians of the lands and waterways across the Australian continent, with histories of continuous connection dating back more than 60,000 years. And colleagues, please introduce yourselves over the chat, acknowledging the lands from which you are joining. I know a few of you already have done that. We'll also share contact details for all states and territories, programs in all states and territories at the end of the session. Rach, did you want to pop a slide up for me? Thank you. I just want to chat a little bit about the program before we go over to hear from our wonderful alumni about their experience of Pathways. And just before I do, looking at that slide gives you a bit of a flavour of what you can expect. The top photo is the cohort from the South Australian program, I believe. Is that correct, Rach? And the one under that from the Northern Territory program, you can see, you know, a great sense of sisterhood happening there. And the image below that is from a session, making the decision to run. And you've got Patricia Carvelis from the ABC there, Jess Wilson, Seema Abdullah, and the wonderful Mullindiri McCarthy. So, as I've said, we have programs in every state and territory. We are non-partisan. That is a really, really key part of who we are. So, you know, it doesn't matter what party you come from, whether you're even a member of a party yet, whether you intend to run as an independent. We are non-partisan, and we create a safe space for different cultures and ideologies to sit alongside each other. And we believe that that's really part of that's a really important step towards making politics a better place and a better place to be. Pathways exists because we fundamentally believe that the makeup of our parliaments and councils, in order to really represent the communities right across Australia, must reflect those communities. So we're increasing, and our mission is to increase the number of women in Australian politics by equipping diverse women to boldly embrace their political ambitions, thrive as leaders, and make a profound contribution to society. We need more First Nations women in leadership positions in this country. So we really strive to create culturally safe environments where we can offer you practical training, workshops, mentoring, career-long support to help make that happen. Yeah, we want to support you to make a difference and to be the candidate that you want to be, whatever your political alignment. Participation is fully funded. So Pathways is philanthropically supported and supported by the universities involved. There is support for travel and accommodation available to rural and remote participants to attend in-person components of the program. Some programs are delivered intensively, and all dates and delivery modes for each program is listed in the application. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the application process later. I want to really emphasise, though, and I think this is important, that the program is based in universities in each state and territory, but that doesn't mean that it's an academic program. It just means that we can draw on really extraordinary expertise. It's very, very practical. And each program has advisory committees with current and former politicians to ensure we're really hitting the mark and that we're relevant. You don't need to have a tertiary degree, and you don't need to have a connection to the university in your state and territory that's running the program. And that's very important information to have. We have a mix of online and in person, as I said, and there's different programs for different, sometimes geographical reasons, run in different formats. So they can be intensive. The NT program, for example, is intensive. The Victorian program, for example, is a longer sort of arc, about 3.5 months. All those details are in the application. We also have a mentoring program that's available to women who've completed Pathways, who've completed a Pathways program anywhere in Australia, and where we match you one-on-one with political mentors, and that can really turbocharge, you fulfilling your aspiration. Rach, do you want to move to the next slide? This is a beautiful one, and you may recognise there we have Deanne Rioli, who's recently been she did the NT program. She's recently been elected to the Tiwi Islands Regional Council, which is really, really exciting. We've got Councillor Imelda Davis there from the New South Wales program, who's councillor for Sydney City Council. And the wonderful Pamela Anderson, who is the CEO of Emily's List and did the program in Victoria. So wonderful to see them there. What you can expect, we run Q&As like the slide I had up before, with diverse politicians from across the political spectrum and all levels of government. So that's really important. The diversity of our cohorts is reflected in our presenters, and we prepare women for local, state and federal levels of government. You do media and campaign training, and Deanne's doing that right there. I was there watching her do that. She did an amazing job. Practical workshops in pre-selection, navigating party machines, running as an independent. So all that smarts and know-how, speech writing. And then in the penultimate session of each program, you deliver a stump speech, which is basically who you are and why people should vote for you in the parliament of your respective jurisdiction. And Pam Anderson is doing that right there in that picture. It's an incredible experience, very moving, and some of our guests tonight might mention that. I'm looking at you, Sue-Ann. Amazing networking opportunities, networking in your cohort, in the women that you go through with other alumni, with the presenters. Really extraordinary opportunity to meet and get to know people who are in political life. And I guess just developing those deep bonds with your cohort. I think over and over again, that's what our alumni talk about, that they've sort of found their other people. They've found a support group in their cohort, which is really significant. But I'm going to hand back over I just wanted to give you a sense of the flavour of the program, but I'm going to hand back over to Kat and our wonderful guests to hear from them about their personal experience of being in the program.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. That looks amazing. I'm so tempted to do it myself, except I don't have any desire to run for office. But I just want to go to the program because
you help other people do it, Kat.
I'm fear of missing out. So I'm going to now introduce our first guest, who is Denisha Duff, OAM. Denisha is an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander woman from Thursday Island in the Torres Straits. Her family are Aboriginal Wuthathi, traditional owners of the Eastern Cape York, and she also has familial links to Badu and Moa and Mubyork Islands in the Torres Strait. Denisha, you'll be able to read Denisha's bio in the link. The link will be in the chat. She has an extraordinary background in health and working for government and sitting on many, many boards. award-winning professional, and she chose to do the Pathways program and she ran as a federal Labor candidate in 2022 in the federal election in the seat of Bowen in southeast Queensland. And during that time, she achieved a swing of 4.7% as a first-time candidate, yeah, which is hugely impressive. So you did the Queensland University Technology Pathways program. Denisha, can you tell us a little bit about how you heard about the program, what the application process was like, and what was your experience?
Yeah, thanks, Kat. So I applied for the QUT program in 2021. I was thinking about running at that stage, and I had just submitted my expression of interest to be pre-selected for the seat of Bowman in southeast Queensland. So I thought that would be nice timing for myself. I thought I had a lot of time. So the application process was an online application process with a short video of yourself, what you wanted to achieve, really, and that turned around quicker than I thought, because I think I put my pre-selection in, must have been around the same time, but I actually heard that I was pre-selected for the seat for Labor, and then I found out that I was on the program, so I thought, that's great. I need all the help I can get at that stage. Yeah, so
Amazing.
and so part of the program I found it was so practical. I'd been working for a federal minister before, so I was his Indigenous health advisor. I've worked in politics. I kind of knew what to expect at the federal level, working in the House. But being a candidate is another completely different experience where, the focus is on you, and the program actually gives you some really practical skills. It gives you, information on how to manage your campaign, and that was really important to me, because really two things happen when you're pre-selected. Everybody's got an opinion about how you should run your campaign, and people want to know straight away who you are and why you want to run, and why they should vote for you. So, and the program answers all of those and gives you lots of support and time to think about that. Because I felt like I was thrown in the deep end there. But you do get a lot of support from former, members of Parliament. I think I spent a lot of time with former Senator Claire Moore from the ALP as well too, and they do pair you up with a mentor. So Professor Vicky Browning was my mentor. So they really, challenge your thinking, help you with your delivery, your speech, and actually question you around, some areas where you can actually improve. So it is that time out and thinking about, how you present yourself, because that's really important, particularly the media training and the comms training. It's really important to know how you can present yourself to people and be believable and be authentic to yourself as well too.
And when you did the program, it was in Queensland, and I understand the Queensland program is run differently to Victoria and New South Wales. You guys have sort of more intensive blocks. Can you explain what that looked like?
Yeah, sure. So we have 3 blocks of 2 days. So I think we did a Friday, Saturday block, and then we had a break for a number of weeks, and you touch with your mentor and talk through and reflect. And then you move on to the second block, and then the final block is when you deliver your presentation in Parliament House. So and that's really your farewell. There's opportunities to connect with a lot of the people who are on the program with you as well too. And it's good, just to spend some time casually talking to each other around, where they're at in terms of their political thinking. A lot of the women weren't as far along as I was. I think I was the only one that was pre-selected at that stage. But those that were thinking about it, those that weren't sure, those that wanted to run for either local government or state government, and really thinking a couple of years ahead in terms of preparing themselves about when they would run.
And did you do any training before you did Pathways?
None at all. It was really, really beneficial.
So the other question I have is, are you planning to run again? Because the next federal election is coming up. You did
I'm still
so well in 2022.
Yeah. I think I'm unsure. I've just started a new job as a CEO, so I think I'm going to do that for a little bit. The timing's not right for me, but it's definitely in the back of my mind again about when I should run and where. Yeah,
Right,
I'm not sure whether it's going to be Bowman. Bowman's a very tough electorate. It's been
right.
an
Okay.
LNP safe seat for 20 years.
Yeah, but you did really well, right? With a
Yeah,
4.7% swing.
yeah.
So you heard it first here. There may be a gap in Bowman for future Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women who are thinking to run in Brisbane. And Denisha may be available to coach you.
Absolutely happy to help.
Thanks for sharing your story, Denisha.
Sure.
Appreciate that. We're going to move on to Sue Ann Hunter, who is a Koori woman based in Victoria. Sue Ann is a proud Wurundjeri and Nurai Ilam Wurrung woman and the Deputy Chair and Commissioner of the Yurok Justice Commission in Victoria. She's an adjunct professor of global and engagement at Federation University and a member of the National Centre for Reconciliation, Truth and Justice Advisory Board. Sue Ann has had an extensive career in government and she is an alum of the University of Melbourne's Pathway to Politics program. Sue Ann, can you tell us a little bit about your experience of thinking about politics? What triggered your thinking? And at what stage did you think that you were serious and wanted to do the Pathways program?
Well, Kat, I think I met you first up at Straight Talk in Canberra,
Yeah,
and we were sitting next to each other at
yeah,
dinner, and she sort of twisted my arm behind my back. Oh, look, I'm going to be really honest. I never thought politics would ever be for me. And a friend of mine, Corinda, wanted to do it. And so I said, well, let's just do it together. My background is really being an activist, and my work is always in child protection and criminal justice. So always talking on the other side of government, talking about what we could do better and, how our, just the atrocities that are happening to our people. So when I got on the commission, I just thought, this is great. But what I did have in the commission is an insight into government and how it works, and have to weave my way through it and have a look. And I just thought, I reckon I can do this. I reckon I can give this a go. So I spoke to Meredith, I think, before. I was a bit cautious because I had so much on and I'm doing my PhD. I was like, can I fit this in? And I think the Melbourne course is far enough apart that I was able to, do it at a steady pace. The application process, I think she let me, the video was quite daunting, but I will tell you the video is worth doing because it makes you reflect on why you want to do this, because it's your time that you're spending doing this. And so you want your time. And if you get to the video and have to really think about why am I doing this, it actually makes you purposeful in going into and what you need to know. And I think compared to Denisha, I'm pretty green when it comes to politics. I always said politics is not my business. It's actually all of our business. And I've got that mentality of you can't be what you can't see. And I have a young daughter and I'm just like, no, she's going to see what we can be. And I'm not one to sit on the sidelines and criticize. And if you're going to do that, you should get into it, right, and have a go. It's one of the best things I've done. I've made an amazing cohort of friends that I didn't think I would ever make, of all different nationalities. We've got this amazing, and I don't even know if you know this, this WhatsApp group where everybody is for different parties, but running in different things. And there's this big, oh, congratulations, well done, and you're doing this and you're doing that. And, you can post what you're doing. But to have these amazing women behind you that probably even some of your beliefs are different is amazing to be able to say, good on you. I might not believe in that party, but I believe in you as a woman. And you know that these are the sorts of women that you're going to come across. The other thing that I was really concerned about was being safe in a space, particularly with politics. And I will say in Melbourne, Mem made it as safe as it can be because you can't control what other people say, right? But for me, it was as safe as it can be. And being able to talk freely and speak about my experience as an Aboriginal woman, and people were really open and honest with their feedback and what that meant, which was great. And I realised how safe it was, particularly when I did the stump speech, which was the week after the referendum.
Yep.
And I hadn't spoken about the referendum, so I become quite emotional. I think Mem was about to jump down and give me a big hug and save me. And I was able to take a breath, and I knew all these women were behind me. They had my back. And so I got through it. And I even posted it online the other day because I thought, oh, I'm proud of that moment. That's a moment. I have no problem with public speaking. It's what I do at the commission and done lots of media and things. But to do it in the context of what you believe in and to do it for future generations of your people where you want to make change, and off the back of a referendum where you know people don't want you in these spaces, was one of the most difficult things I think I've ever done. And, you know, to know that you've got that support to be able to do it. Look, I didn't know the difference between the upper house and the lower house. And, you know, and then they've got things like your local government and this. And we've got people in that course that were already mayors or were in local government that were ready to run or are running. And, you know, so we had everybody at different spaces and pages, and to be able to ask specific questions that in your brain you're like, oh, you're going, don't ask it, it's so dumb, like it's so stupid. And it was simple things like, I can't afford to run and not work, I'm a single mum. So it was those questions, and having other women that have done this before come into this space and tell you. The other thing about going into public life, really scary, right? But they sit there and they tell you how they dealt with it, but they're real and they're raw, so you can make up your mind whether you want to move forward or not. I think that's all I had to say, I think. But I'll just say the staff in Melbourne were absolutely wonderful and amazing. And Meredith and I have become friends through this, and I really honour and really love her support, because these spaces are not built for us. Here I go. Ready? These spaces are not built for us. And as Black women, we should be at the table, and we should be having a say, and we should be paving the way for those that come after us. So if I have to be uncomfortable in a space to pave the way for someone like my daughter to walk into that space, so be it. But we deserve a seat at the table like everybody else. Sorry, Meredith, that rant had to get out.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I absolutely agree.
Yes.
It's so true. I mean, and post-referendum, well, actually pre-referendum, I was saying to myself and as many people as I could that, you know, cared to listen to me, why don't they just give me the money and I'll teach a whole lot of people how to get elected, and that's how we'll get a voice into Parliament. But nobody listened to me anyway. But post-referendum, what we know is that there is a really big interest from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people to get elected across the country. So there's a lot of activity happening in this space. So programs like Pathways are really, really important in helping you to build capacity, build your skills and confidence to take this step. What we do in our little workshops is we meet a lot of very, very capable women of colour, First Nations and migrant women, and we let them know that, you know, you don't need to do another university degree. You don't necessarily need to do another, you know, undertake a PhD or anything. You've got lots and lots of experience. You've done a lot of community work. You have what it takes to step into a different leadership role. It just happens to be a political role. All you need is to do programs like Pathways to give you that confidence, give you that knowledge, help you to understand the processes, and that will really, really help you to have the confidence to run for office. So thank you for sharing that, Sue-Ann. We're going to go to Q&As now. So if anyone has any questions for Denisha or Sue-Ann, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Or if you would like to just write it in the chat, you're welcome to do that as well.
So for me, I have worked in the Aboriginal community control health sector. I do have a degree and a postgrad behind me. But for me, it was more so about my community experience and the advocacy that we were doing, sort of like some Sue-Ann was saying, it's about your advocacy to government. It's you want to make more effective. So if you're in that position, then you can actually advocate for your community or your electorate for policy and legislative changes. So and in thinking about, running, you've got to think about what differentiates yourself from everybody else that's on the ballot list. And one of those things could be that you're a First Nations woman and you've got community experience, that you're young and you're willing to go out there, talk to community and advocate. And that's what wins votes. Communities want to know that you're going to work for them.
Yeah, and I think thanks for answering that, Denisha. I think it's really, really important to see more young people step into politics. There is a really big gap that we need to fill with more and more young people. So really great to hear that, Taylor, that you're thinking about stepping up. There's another question from Anaz, who's asking about asking why people should vote for you. I mean, I think that's some of what you will learn in the workshop, but also there's a question that she's asking about doing the online video. Dr. Martin, is there any assistance with people producing this video as part of the application process?
Sure, and I want to in the video isn't a requirement in all jurisdictions. In some jurisdictions, you can write something or be interviewed. But wherever you are based, and please, when we put the contacts up, you can reach out to me directly, by the way, but you can reach out to, we'll also give you some key contacts in your jurisdiction. And we're really happy to talk to you about the video component and, in fact, the whole application. Very happy to have those conversations.
One of the really valuable things about going through cohorts of training, like a Pathways program, you're there with, anywhere between 10, 15 to 25 other women going through the same thing. And so what we hear a lot from women who go through the Pathways program is that they bond with, all the other women going through the same experience, having the same doubts, having the same concerns, and coming out the other end of the program with, a group of titters, a group of sisters that are, supporting each other through your journey in politics. So I think that's one of the most valuable things about going through this program. You're going to look, it's incredibly important to get all of the skills development and the capability building and all the knowledge. But that networking and that sisterhood is extremely valuable. That will build your confidence and they will have your back, right? I haven't been through the program, but I've recommended a lot of women of color to go into these programs, and I hear this a lot when they come out of they make lifelong friends from going through this. Thank you everyone for your questions. We're going to wind up now, but before we do, Dr. Martin is going to talk about the application process and the key contacts in all the states and territories.
Thanks, Kat, and thanks everyone for your engagement. It's just great to see. I'll be very quick because we're running out of time and I don't want to keep people longer than promised. But up there, and remember, we're going to share this with you, so you don't need to write them down immediately. There's the email addresses for all the different programs nationally, so in your jurisdiction. But I did want to say I'm really happy to talk to anyone about the program, and I can direct you to other directors in other states and territories. My direct email is there, and I've also shared it in the chat. Just quickly, I wanted to talk about what you can expect from the application process. We'll ask you questions about your political aspirations, what level of politics you might be interested in, your lived political and professional experience, what issues are important to you, and how you believe you can serve your community through political representation. So we want to know your story, really. That's what we're after. I want to really emphasize, and it's something that Kat said, and I want to pick up on it. we consider community-based experience as political experience. That you know, when we say we want to understand your political experience, we think that that is political experience. You've all got community experience, I'm sure. So it's important to convey that in the application. And that is precisely the kind of experience we need reflected in our parliaments and councils, can I say. So they're the kinds of questions that we ask you in the application. I really, really encourage you to reach out to the contact if you are interested in applying. Applications are open until April 24. Those of you who, if there's anyone joining us from the Northern Territory, there's a kind of, that's the hard deadline, but they're encouraging people to get their applications in a bit earlier than that if possible. So please contact someone in your jurisdiction, or as I said, get in touch with me directly. That's it from me.
Thanks very much, Dr. Martin, and thank you everyone for joining us this evening. So you have all the links in the chat. Just take a minute to get what you need from that chat before we close out. You will receive a follow-up email from Pathways, and you will also receive an email with the edited video of tonight's session. Thank you for joining us this evening, and thank you again to our speakers, Denisha Duff and Sue Ann Hunter. We really appreciate your time. And everyone in the Pathways team, we really appreciate all the great work you do.
And huge thanks to you too, Kat, and thanks to Denisha and Sue Ann, and we'll look forward to hearing from you soon.